Hey everybody, welcome back to Nature's Calls. Couldn't be more excited to be recording. Had a baby, been away for a few weeks. A couple things have changed around in my life, so definitely been occupied, but I'm back in front of the camera now, so could not be more excited to break down the Chargers schedule now that we finally got it released. I've seen mixed reviews, I've seen some very interesting takes, but I don't hate it. I mean, we had an inkling that we were going to get the Brazil game week 1. Started getting inklings that it was going to be the Chiefs. I would love it to not be the Chiefs. I would love that to not be what counted as a home game, especially international, where the Chiefs probably have a bigger name, and we likely are going to go in without a competitive advantage from the home team scenario type of thing, likely going to be heavily towards the Chiefs. But it is what it is. I'm glad that it's week 1, and I'm glad that it's Brazil game. If we're gonna have an international game, I'll take the one that only has a 4-hour time difference. Sucks that the Chiefs are closer to their time zone, but again, if I'm gonna pick and choose my battles here, I mean it's a 1-hour difference versus an East Coast game, and you get there early because it's week 1, so we can be there for 3 freaking days before the game if we want to, and it's a Friday, so you get a little bit of time going into week 2, and we'll get to that in a second. So obviously, it's not a perfect scenario, but I'm not necessarily mad about having the Chiefs week 1 in essentially a neutral site, um, so that we can really see what us at full steam. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of growing pains with the rookies that probably going to be better towards the end of the year, but for the most part, a fully healthy Chargers team, a fully healthy Chiefs team. Andy Reid's going to get a lot of prep time. That's a bummer, but I'm we're a very different team, so he's not going to have film for us to study on. Obviously, there's concerns with playing the Chiefs and what our defense and all this makeshift team kind of looks like now that we've completely retooled ourselves. But I'm excited to get a test of that week 1. Um, we win, obviously, love to see it. We lose, obviously, suck to see it. But it's going to be a good litmus test as to what this team looks like. Um, but anyway, then we get into week 2. And then we're going at Raiders. Um, Back to back division games to start. Actually, back to back to back, but we'll get to that in a second. But Monday Night Football, so you get the extra day of rest. So we go Friday to Monday. Think about it, just as much of a long week as Thursday to Sunday. So you get that extra time to recover from the flight back to Brazil, extra prep time for the Raiders. So I really like this. If we're gonna have the Brazil game, I'm glad that we have a nice stagger, and then we go into the Raiders game. Um, Thrilled about it. Gene T versus Hampton's going to be fun. Pete Carroll versus Harbaugh is going to be fun. There's a lot of sub stories amongst the matchup there, so I think that's going to be a fun way to kick off the season in week 2. So we go Brazil and then this both primetime games. Fun way to start the season for us as fans, getting able to watch both games as standalone. So um, really happy with both of those, and then you obviously go from Brazil to a nice dome. I mean, it's going to be a good idea of where we're at. We'll get a pretty good view of the Chargers through 3 weeks, because after that we go to the Broncos, or the Broncos come to us. My apologies, Broncos come to us. Now, I would feel a lot better about the schedule if this was at Denver. And yes, the matchup would probably be harder with a short week going to Denver. Um, I just am so sick of going to Mile High at the end of the year. I feel like we've been doing it for years. Mile High in Kansas City, end of the year, every time. I'd rather go there when it's not terrible weather, and so that's a bummer for me, especially because we'll get to it in a second. But we play the Broncos again at the end of the year, so. But again, we're gonna get a really nice standing of what the division looks like through 3 weeks. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, we'll need a little bit of recovery after a late game. So there's the positive of it being at home. Does feel like a little bit of a trap game though because of the short week. So I mean, it could go either way. But we start off 2-1. I'm real happy. We start off 3-0. I'm real happy. We start off 1-2 with losses to the Chiefs and Denver. It's kind of a hole to dig ourselves out of that isn't necessarily going to be easy. So we'll get a pretty clear view of what we're looking like after 3 weeks. Then we go to the Giants. So we're going to Brazil, home to the Raiders immediately. So the Raiders isn't a far flight. Home to Denver. Not a tremendous amount of travel time besides the Brazil game there. And then we go all the way across country to the Giants. Now, the Giants, they shouldn't be extremely competitive. That defense should be well retooled. They're moving in the right direction. But regardless, they should be in the middle of a quarterback battle. So whether it be Jameis or Russ, I doubt it's going to be Jameis, or Russ or Jackson Dart, who knows? either way, it'll be interesting. Russ gives me probably the most fear, which isn't much in that offense. Jameis slinging it would be fun, but either way, they know they have someone on their heels. They might be playing with their tail on fire. I hope it's Jackson Dart, so we have someone who hasn't gotten used to the NFL speed of things yet, especially against the Jesse Minter defense. But either way, it's the Giants, and I feel like this is a great opportunity to reset ourselves. I'd love to come 3-1 out of this if we're 2-2. Obviously, there's a little bit of bounce back that can be done. But not a bad game, getting a little bit of softer schedule in there after 3 division games. Back home to the Commanders. Full length week. Obviously, I worry about fatigue starting to set in here, but luckily, I think the Giants are kind of an easier opponent, so hopefully, we're a little bit more ready for the Commanders. Um, I would really love to win this game. If we're 2-2 and we lose this game and fall to 2-3, that's where things really start to get hairy, and that's really why winning 2 of those first 3 games matters so much. I think the Commanders are going to be a much improved team. Jaden Daniels from LA. It'll be a fun game for him. It'll be a fun game for anybody who can attend it. But is where that's where it could be a little bit starting to get really tight for us Chargers fans here, depending on how we perform at the start of the season. That being said, the Commanders are a very winnable game. Um, just comes down to playing our best. And then we go at Dolphins. This is really where I start to worry about fatigue, specifically because of the way the Dolphins are built. I very much am concerned about the back end of our defense. Obviously, safety position is extremely well shored up. But by the time we're 6 weeks in, fatigue starts to hit you. A lot of travel, Brazil, Raiders, home, Giants, home, Dolphins. That's a lot of cross country. Um, and so this is where it starts to kind of concern me with how fast of a team that is and how great they are offensively. That the Dolphins are still a very talented team. I know they were bad last year, kind of forgetting it. The Dolphins are a very talented team. They have a lot of talent on their roster. So that out of any of these feels like the biggest trap game. And again, let's say win Chiefs, win or lose Chiefs, win Raiders, lose Denver, win Giants, lose Commanders. So we're 2-3 here. Then you go to the Dolphins game, you cannot afford a loss there. Now, obviously, that's pessimistic, just about worst case scenario. I don't think we're going to be in that position, but I really don't like that spot at week 6. I just it concerns me regardless. And so best case scenario is 4-2 or 5-1 really, but wouldn't be surprised if we're 4-2 after those 6 games. 3-3 we can dig our way out of, but that pretty much is already locking ourselves into a wild card spot, not winning the division there. 2-4 would be less than ideal, but then we get into a little bit of a softer stretch, I'll call it. We get Indy at home. Cool. I'll take it. Hopefully, Anthony Richardson is still incredibly inaccurate. Hopefully, he hasn't fixed that. Or Daniel Jones plays, or our run defense is extremely corrected, and Jonathan Taylor can't get going. Any of those 3 things happen, we should win. So, should be fine. On a week 8, Thursday Night Football. If you're going to have a short week, I'm glad it's home. So you have Indy, again, not my most concerning matchup, to the Vikings. Harbaugh versus McCarthy. It's going to be good. It's going to be a fun story, at least. That Vikings offense, I expect to be very good. That Vikings defense is still great. So I think that there's a lot of fun that can be had there. I'm really glad that our back to back short week is at home. That's the biggest break as far as travel and lining things up that I see here. At Tennessee, again, a little concerning. Everything's a little concerning. I'm a Chargers fan. I'm concerned about everything. But I would Tennessee. I think Cam Ward starts to settle in here. This could be that week where we really see him put it together in Tennessee. Luckily, we have a long week, so I'm not as concerned about this game too much. So we'll kind of see where things settle out, and then Pittsburgh at home. Who's playing quarterback for him? Is Aaron Rodgers playing it? Is he a shell of himself? Who knows? I think Pittsburgh's going to be better than people give him credit for because they always are. But we'll see how it shakes out. Not as concerned about that game. Fly back across the country. So LA over to Tennessee, back home to Pittsburgh, all the way back out to Jacksonville. Um, I think that offense is going to be fun. I don't see them as a complete enough team to be extremely concerned about it right now, but Us 27-0. So let's just be on our P's and Q's and win that game, please. Um, Back home to the Raiders. I think at this point the Raiders season's falling apart a little bit. I think we'll be fine to win this game. Um, Eagles Monday Night Football. Long week at least. Long week at least to prepare for them. The Eagles are a very beatable. Not. I think you can outscore the Eagles. I don't think their offense is as good as it's made out to be at times. Um, I think we saw that for a lot of the year. And then obviously we forget about it because they were so lights out at the end of the year. Jalen Hurts is he plays clean football, but you can beat him. If we can lock up A.J. Brown, you can definitely beat him. Saquon makes life difficult. He's going to have a lot of wear and tear on him, and this is getting towards the end of the season. I think that this is a winnable game. It all just comes down to those trenches. How well can we run the ball against their defensive line? If we can do that even a little bit, I think we're going to be fine. Short week to Kansas City, because isn't it always a short week before we play Kansas City in Arrowhead at the end of the year? Feels like a pretty consistent trend. Hate this game. Really hope we have a lot to play for here. Um, it's a rough game. That sucks. That sucks. At Dallas. Don't mind at Dallas. I think Dallas in week 16 is still going to have something to play for. I think they're going to be a better team with Dak back than people give them credit for. They've been consistently a contender with Dak. Not contender. Playoff contender. They make it to the playoffs. They're pushing for the playoffs every year with Dak, it seems like, for the most part. And so I think that Dallas is going to be improved. Again, I just don't think that they have enough talent on their roster to be scary. And I think at this point of the season, you going out to Dallas, starting into the end of the year, I think it's a very winnable game. Perfectly fine with it. Happy. Back home to Houston. Houston week 17 is huge. I wanted to open the season against Houston as kind of a revenge game towards the end of the year with them in their division, us in our division. I think there's going to be a tremendous amount to play for the AFC. So I think that this game is going to have a lot of consequences. Um, God, we better freaking win it. Same thing with the Jacksonville game. I really need to win those games personally for myself as a Chargers fan to feel better about things. Please, please, please win this game. Um, and then we finish at Denver. God, are we always finishing at Denver? Feels like Denver's been week 16 or later for a decade of my life. I'm probably wrong. That's probably a lie, but that's how it feels. So I hate going out to Mile High. I really hope that everything's locked up by week 18 and there's not too much consequences, but it's a divisional game. Denver's likely going to be competing for playoff contention if they're anything like what they were last year, which I think Bo Nix may regress a little bit in year two with people having film on him, but Sean Payton may progress enough with his new offensive weapons that he has out there that it doesn't necessarily matter. I do really like RJ Harvey. That defense is phenomenal. So in Mile High, it's a tough matchup, but I don't necessarily hate it. But so let's do win loss. I haven't actually done a win loss prediction, so let's just do that together right now. Let's say Chiefs in Brazil, hoping for a win. Really think we need one. Um, so let's go win, 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 win. That's unreasonable, but let's just say we win all 3 games, 4 games. Chiefs, Raiders, Denver, Giants. First loss comes in week 5 to the Commanders. Rough. I hate it. I want to be Jaden Daniels because again, everybody gets compared to Herbert and bothers me. But let's just say that that's a loss. And let's say the Dolphins are a loss. And I'm not necessarily saying that those are where I'm at, but I do think that 4-2 to start is very reasonable. I would love to be 5-1. 4-2 after those 6 games feels very reasonable. So I'm going to say that that's where we're at. We go to Indy, we win. Or Indy comes to us. Vikings come to town Thursday night football. Short week, but it's at home. Harbaugh has played. I think it's a win. It puts us at 6-2. Go to Tennessee. If it wasn't a long week, I'd be more worried about it, but I'm going to say it's a win. 7-2. Pittsburgh win. Jacksonville win. I'm getting over my skis a little bit. Raiders win. We don't lose to the Raiders. Eagles. Oof. I'm gonna say loss. At KC, loss. Dallas win. Houston win. Denver week 18 loss. This is 12 and 5. 12 and 5 Zags. 12 and 5 I'll take. Very easily could actually see us winning one of that Eagles game. Would put us at 13 and 4, which is huge. The difference between 12 and 5 and 13 and 4 is huge. I could see us anywhere on the spectrum from 8 wins to 14 wins. These draft picks better carry their weight, and this defense better be fixed. It's going to be a tight one. We could be anywhere from a bubble team who misses the playoffs to a 1 seed. I This is going to be tight. We got a lot of question marks about this team. The difference is it's more of, can this team even be competitive like we had which was last year, whereas instead now it's, are we as legit as we all think we are? So we'll find out together. It's good to be recording again. It's good to be back in front of you guys. Um, Go Bolts. Talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please give me a follow on Twitter or X at Erdman Chargers. Or if you're not already there, go ahead and hop over to my YouTube channel, like or subscribe at Nature's Calls Pod. Thanks for listening.